comes to Kendrick Lamar and Pusha T, well, if you are ready to get the biggest hip hop collaboration that we have seen in years and just watch the rap game be in shambles over two MCs coming together like never before, be sure to leave a like and
And the thing is, too, we've been having this discussion since the Kendrick and Drake beef ended. We've been saying that lyricism was back, but a lot of people were kind of scared because it was like, we're loving the lyricism from Kendrick, but is this going to continue? And then we saw, of course, the recent East Coast versus West Coast beef they had. Of course, it wasn't a real beef with anger and any type of malice added to it, but it was still a rap battle. There was still lyricism. There was still disses. Of course, there was still roast. There was still topics talked about that were sensitive. And it brought back a real foundation to hip hop, something that we haven't had in a long time, a new energy. And this is all influenced from this Kendrick and Drake beef. And now we're seeing that culture shift. We're seeing one side saying hip hop is getting weird. Hip hop is lagging. You see the words coming from DJ Academics and Young Thug and Lil Baby. And then you see the other side, Kendrick breaking records, going on stadium tours, breaking Billboard records and Spotify records, and just going crazy, and still remaining authentic and genuine and keeping it hip hop the entire time, especially with no lawsuits. So now, Fantastic Hip Hop was talking about the long anticipated Pusha T and Kendrick verse. Like, they've been talking about this for years, not years, but well, maybe a year, ever since that snippet dropped at the fashion show. So maybe it's about a year now, right?
subscribe, because after what Pusha T just told us, things have never looked more exciting in rap for the next month or so, because after so much speculation and specifically questions around if Kendrick Lamar was going to be a feature on the upcoming Clipse album, well, Pusha T and Malice just sat down with GQ for a huge interview where they have revealed so much, and over everything else they have told us how scared the music industry truly is over seeing the two boogeymen of the rap game just come together and send a message like no other two rappers in this era could possibly do. And now, as over everything else we now know, that Kendrick Lamar linked up with the best MCs that he possibly could, and is ready to get more competitive with them to the point that the entire industry is crashing out about this. Really, before we go any further into why the industry is so scared of Kendrick and Push coming together, and how Drake has already been embarrassed pretty bad by Push just speaking here, leave that like if you have not already.
And like Fantastic Hip Hop just said, Pusha T and Kendrick Lamar, it's not just a verse or a song, it's a statement. Like I said, there is a culture shift and there's a huge line being drawn in hip hop. People that are on Drake's side, like I mentioned before, the DJ Academics, the Young Thugs, that side, and literally everybody else. So there's a small percentage of the population that has had a monopoly on our culture, that has been vampires, like sinners. They've been funded by and protected by people not of our culture who don't care for us, and they've been set free. They've been getting a huge budget to terrorize our community. And now you see all these 20v1 narratives is because it's not just one verse everybody, it's Drake versus the culture. And as you'll mention in a little bit about Drake in the industry games he's playing behind the scenes, and how only someone like Drake is even able to get along and get away with these things. But this is a statement. And you see how Drake is shifting towards the streamer side, the content creator side. But also understand a lot of these guys that are getting all these numbers and these views, they're getting them in the content creation side. They're getting them on Twitter, they're getting them on TikTok, and the streams are going crazy. But when they release music, no one cares. Like y'all see, DDG just dropped his album, going crazy with the views on YouTube and Twitch and making a lot of viral content. No one cares. No one listens. Same thing with Blackboy Max, one of the biggest music streamers right now. Just dropped an album or a mixtape, nowhere near top 100. And he's one of the top streamers right now. So that just shows, cool, you can like the music, we can like you as a person. But I always talk about, we don't pay for what we like, we pay for what we value. And there's a huge culture shift that's going on where these guys are getting the attention, but they can't hold the attention and they can't transform that attention into something that's actually substantial, especially when we have options. So make sure those stats, they look really good. They look really good on paper, but understand, will they carry on to an actual audience? And the same thing that Drake has been doing this entire career. Even going back to him being the biggest artist, breaking all these records. Y'all saw he just got a bunch of diamond certifications, but you still have to ask yourself, why is he not doing stadium tours though? Why is he still having a difficult time selling out arenas in Australia if he's this big superstar that's bigger than The Weeknd and Taylor Swift and Beyonce? If he's on their level, there's no reason why he should be having these issues. He should have been doing his stadium tour. And that's the reason why he can align with the streamers so much, because they're used to getting views. They're used to getting the attention. But no one on that side can actually turn that attention to something that we value. So
all of hip hop can see how important this moment is going to be. And now, with that said, when it comes to Pusha T, Kendrick Lamar, and everything else, we may have just gotten the most important interview we have from a rapper all year, because with everything that Pusha and Malice told us here, well, they were not like most rappers when they do these interviews in this era and just speak in riddles or just do nothing whatsoever and waste our time. But in typical fashion, Push and Malice got right to it and told us some very important info, which is both telling us some very exciting stuff about where hip-hop is at and what we are about to see with the new Clipse album. But at the same time, we also heard some very disturbing things about the state of the music industry and how even these rappers have been treated, all because of what Drake decided to do when he filed paperwork against his label UMG. And now specifically, what I am talking about and what Push referred to here is the status of the new Clipse album, and within this, why the record was taking so long to drop. As Push said, it has been done for a decent amount of time at this point. But ironically enough, because this is how Clipse's career started before their first album we got from them in 2002 came out with another record in another label that we never saw, they got shelved and pushed back, which was pretty much happening here. But now it wasn't because Push and Malice are not proven artists who have legendary careers in this day and age, but it was because of something else, as Push told us that Def Jam loved the album and almost everything they heard, and that one thing that they didn't like was a verse from Kendrick Lamar on the track Chains and Whips. And now with this, just to look at what the interview straight up says, it tells us that if you expected the album last summer, the brothers sympathize, so did they. Pusha says they felt confident, proud, and assured of themselves when they presented the music to Def Jam. The label loved what they heard, except for Kendrick Lamar's guest verse on the thunderous Chains and Whips, the final version of the song that Pharrell teased at his first LV Runaway show, and the song that Pusha says was the first to come out.
That's what I said about a year ago.
Don't be fooled by Pusha's interviews appealing for one last guest verse and the jokes that he went to a GNX tour date to physically walk Kendrick Lamar into the nearest studio. K-Dot's verse homework has been turned in for a while now. And now also looking at this and hearing that Kendrick's verse has been done for a while is very interesting and telling. But now after saying this, the interview goes on to tell us why the verse was pushed back on by the industry, which was because after a summer of beef between their two biggest artists that resulted in a still ongoing lawsuit from Drake, Def Jam's parent company UMG blanched at the antagonistic optics of two of Drake's biggest enemies linking up on wax, which it calls their apprehension stupid, primarily because none of the bars in Kendrick's otherwise excellent verse could really be perceived as a shot or even subliminal. It does, however, contain the stellar line, "Therapy taught me how to open up, but it also showed me I don't give a." And now with this,
that's crazy. And going back to Drake being a Karen, understand how crazy this sounds when you are, as in Drake, he's suing, claiming they didn't protect him from Kendrick, saying that the label intentionally tried to defame Drake in order to lowball him on his new contract. Exact same UMG. So we have the OVO fans going behind the scenes consistently calling Kendrick K-bots and industry plants. And understand, this is how you know that Drake is not like us. Only Drake could do this. Pusha T can't do this. Kendrick for sure can't do this. Beyonce can't do this. Jay-Z can't do this. Only Drake can do this. Now understand, he's the holy trinity, man. He has everybody. He had white, black, and Jewish. Like I said, the Holy Trinity. So he can play these industry games. And when we're saying he's not like us, it's not because of his race or his physical complexion, it's his characteristics. Because only he could do these things. Not only does it go against hip hop, but it just goes against morality as a man, especially when we keep saying it's getting repetitive. Drake, he started this entire thing. He started the defamation. He started the personal attacks. Kendrick just responded and he did it worse. So understand, no one has any sympathy for the bully that gets bullied. No one cares if the serial killer gets killed by a serial killer. We see Kendrick like Dexter, the serial killer of serial killers. Who cares? Kendrick is the bully of bullies. So, especially when Pusha T said that there was no type of disses, no beef, nothing mentioning Drake at all. See how sensitive that is? That's like someone saying F the police. Meanwhile, they're consistently calling the police. Drake saying F my label. Meanwhile, he's consistently using his label. And we've known this for years. This is why that entire lawsuit was so crazy, because he's claiming the industry plants and the bot situation when we know for a fact he's been using these exact same things. And it just goes deeper into the entire phrase, not like us, man.
Well, I guess we just learned what some of the bars on Kendrick's verse will say with the last sentence, which seems to allude to the duality and lessons learned in both the Mr. Morale and GNX era of his careers. But now in the much bigger picture of this thing and with what is said here. Well, this is what rap and the expectations in the genre are going to start to look like in a world where Drake is trying to ruin the genre with his suit and overall just scare the industry into even engaging in artistic moments of victory and greatness like we have seen with Kendrick and Push right here. And again, why it's been so important to call out Drake and stay on him for the vulture that he really has become in this era is all because of seeing the struggles that Pusha T and Kendrick Lamar of all people have had to get out a song. Because really, if these two couldn't get out a song, this is all the reason why we need to keep pushing back and why Drake needs to lose here, otherwise rap is about to enter an era where things have never been more soft and expression as a whole will really be cooked. Because seriously, with what we are witnessing with what Push just told us, we were literally reading that we would have not got a song between Kendrick Lamar and Pusha T if Push didn't continue to push back on his label and then force Def Jam to drop him from the label as a whole and get him off the UMG roster.
And that goes so much against everything that we stand for in hip hop. And Drake, he has so many strikes against hip hop. Number one, suing. Two, the ghostwriting. Three, just the antics that he has just shown throughout the years. Like, number one, constantly using his label to go, and once again, going back to how he was saying hashtag free Thug. Remember when he gave Thug $1 million when he first got out of jail? And now he's doing the complete opposite, trying to use lyrics in a court case. The exact same way those lyrics were going to be used against Young Thug. And UMG, they already mentioned this in their court case. The hypocrisy of that motion. But then,
and even with this now, this is why Pusha T signed to Roc Nation as an independent MC to distribute this thing, and even with that, well, joining Jay after getting dropped is why Jay is so important to hip-hop and why we need somebody like him to have the position he does, because his understanding of both the industry and hip-hop culture makes sure that everybody has a seat at the table in general when it may be harder than ever to do that, especially because of what Drake has done. And again now, what we are seeing is an early example of how the Drake crash out and suit is trying to ruin artistic expression, because if we read what Push felt about this, the interview tells us Pusha can barely contain his disgust, recounting how the stalemate with Def Jam played out. They wanted me to ask Kendrick to censor his verse, which of course I was never doing, he explains, and then they wanted me to take the record off, and so after a month of not doing it, the label just said, we'll just drop the Clipse, but that can't work because I'm still there solo, but if you let us all go. Sure enough, Def Jam eventually agreed to release the Clipse and drop Pusha as a solo artist, freeing the duo up to shop for a new home with a finished Clipse album and plenty more music in their pockets. Ultimately, Pusha says the endeavor was gratifying. It felt good to even see how other labels were buying for the project, and now as they teased last week with a picture in front of the label's plain insignia, they've ended up at Jay-Z's Roc Nation where they feel fully supported and energized. I think that synergy, just in a rap sense, is going to speak volumes, Pusha says, of the partnership. And now, fortunately for Push, he ended up being a free agent and joining Jay-Z, but for most artists, they are not going to get this treatment from the label and will either be shelved alone or just forced to do what they say, which would have been to ruin the Kendrick Lamar verse like they asked and maybe even take it off entirely, because I am sure that Kendrick Lamar would not let only half or a fraction of his vision be released to the world without it actually having its full impact.
and this is just what I was talking about in the Discord. I think it was you, Jen K, was talking about how Drake and his move to streaming is low-key the last straw for him because he doesn't care about hip-hop anymore. And I had this conversation, I believe, with Absa on her live stream a few months ago. We was talking about, I truly don't believe that Drake would be a rapper if he grew up in this era. He would be literally just like DDG. He would try to be a content creator and a live streamer and then low-key be a rapper on the side. But Drake, I truly don't believe he really loves rap or hip-hop or acting or anything he does. He's truly in it for the attention. He will go wherever the attention goes. So that's the reason why he jumps from different bandwagon team to bandwagon team. He's getting, you feel me? He's always hopping on all the new guys' songs, always trying to get with the new streamers, the new people that are popping, always trying to be the first person to follow someone on Instagram, that type of thing. He's just hopping from attention to attention to attention and attaching his name onto everything. And now it's just created compound interest. So now he appears to be something that he's not. And this is the game that he's played for his entire career. We've known this game. That's one of the reasons why Kendrick called him a colonizer. Not like us. But once again, these games that he's playing, he knows for a fact they won't affect him anymore. And he keeps with this narrative, him and the OVO side, that he's for these small artists, that he's for the people. And at the same time, they are disrespecting Pusha T by saying that he doesn't have any hits, right? And saying that he's inferior to Drake. And while at the same time, Drake is the main one on stage, it's recorded, talking about not needing trophies and the validation, and saying if you have people lined up outside, then you're the winner. And I remember that award show he gave that lame speech, knowing that he's lying. We know he's the loser. Man, come on, dog. And it's extremely hypocritical. It's almost annoying at this point. So I'm tired of making videos about it because it's like there's no way this grown adult doesn't understand that we can easily see him. We have video proof of everything that's going on, and they continue to lie and gaslight us like we can't see what we see. Even going back to the video of the 17-year-old girl on stage. Going back to what's going on right here, even the OVO fans online, if you see what's going on in the conversation they're having, they still are trying to spin this in Drake's favor some way, somehow. But once again, this is the reason why they have the 1v20. It's everybody's fan base versus him. And this is not just we just hate Drake. Nah, this is you going against hip hop. You're going against the black culture, man. We can't, nah.
But now also I will say, as bad as all of this stuff is in terms of the industry not wanting to hear Kendrick and Push together, there is some more good news here, as Push also does tease that Jay-Z is on this record, which once again just shows how much we are winning and how peak this thing is gonna be. As just to put it into perspective, the article reads, so they're officially doing business with The Roc, and the Kendrick verse was never the feature Push kept alluding to and holding out for. Does this mean we're due for another Pusha and Jay-Z collaboration? And then in response to this, Push said, we made history a couple of times, Push said with a coy smirk, referring to the two elusive Jay features he's nabbed in the past. And now beyond this, Push
Hey, and this is one of the reasons why OVO is so upset. Y'all see they keep pushing Roc Nation to be this new Illuminati. Like even with DJ Academics and DDG, and they continue to blame all of their own mistakes on Roc Nation, even with the Tory situation. They're blaming the stabbing on Roc Nation. They said that Roc Nation put out a hit. And then even before that, they said that Roc Nation set up Tory. Then they were saying that Roc Nation set up Drake. Then they were saying they pulled strings to upset Lil Wayne. Then they were saying that Roc Nation is the reason why DDG and his domestic violence case. It's like, come on, bro. They refuse to take basic accountability. And like I said, you are the average of the 5 people you always hang around. So look at the average of the 5 people. I just mentioned DJ Academics, Drake, DDG, Tory Lanez. Even throw in Aiden Ross in there. Throw in the Andrew Tates. Like, come on, man. Victims. A bunch of grown victims.
Unfortunately had to keep talking about Drake as he...
Oh, yeah, I see y'all in the chat, too. I see you, Freddie and Jen K. Yeah, trying to get the newest NBA players, trying to get the new athletes. Just literally trying to hang on and attach on to everybody. Yeah, I remember he was at the press conference with Conor McGregor. And I remember, I'm an Alabama fan. So when Nick Saban, when we were going on our dynasty run, he was walking around with the Alabama Crimson Tide jersey on like that pissed me off. That pissed me off, especially as an Alabama fan. No, we don't play about that round here. We rep we rep it like gangs around here. You can't just play around and put on Alabama Crimson Tide gear. And he all the way from Canada. Toronto, what you know about SEC football, man? That pissed me off as a kid. Man,
He was being asked how he felt about the weird disses he kept sending to him and Pharrell, and more importantly, Push was asked about the suit and what he thought about there, where he said, "If Drake's adamant to have a lawsuit, it's only because he knows all the things they did to suppress everything that was happening around Adidon and the verses and records and things that were happening back then." And then Push alluded to instances in which the label ruined his verses because of the entire Drake situation, and he specifically cited the tracks with Rick Ross and Lil Wayne in Maybach Music 6 and the posthumously released Pop Smoke song with Young Thug. And once again, just saying something like this, Push is showing his own experience of how the industry had to hold him back for Drake, and again, he knows that Drake has manipulated everything to help him and protect him for so long, which at the very least just shows us that something is so up, and we really have to thank Push for being one of the few rappers who just spoke up about Drake and the suit and says about Drake now as a whole, that because of this entire suit, I don't rate him no more, Pusha says off Drake's off-wax antics. The suing thing is bigger than some rap. I just don't rate you. It's like it kind of just cheapens the art of once we gotta have real questions about suing and litigation. Like what? For this? And I mean, Push has just said what we all feel in a more direct and understandable way that most of us could never put into words like this, and really with this, well, what is so clear is that both with the song that Kendrick and Push have made together and with Drake, which just the principle of what he has been doing has tried to ruin this album and everything around it. Well, now Jay is helping Pusha and this song come out, and of course, these guys are all trying to move Drake out of the way so expression in hip-hop can reign over everything else. And I am sure that with what Kendrick has recorded and Push with whatever else we are going to see, over everything else, this record is truly going to be Drake's worst nightmare. But he has never deserved for it to happen more.
and that's crazy because it wasn't even that big of a deal. Like Pusha T already said, Drake wasn't even being dissed. He's just sensitive. He just didn't like the optics. He just wanted to control. It's just really just like the Schoolboy Q situation where he canceled Schoolboy Q's show just because he knew he could, just to try to get any type of one up on Kendrick and the West Coast in general. And I see you, JK. Yeah, he said he did the same thing with Kentucky. Y'all remember them videos? Y'all remember he even went through the entire A-up line and everything. It's like, dog, what does Drake know about Kentucky, man? How you a Kentucky basketball fan and an Alabama football fan? And then remember, man, come on, like I remember it was one soccer player from overseas. Like he was doing it with multiple soccer teams. It's like, man, come on, Drake. Come on, dog. What we doing?